Mm. So we offer our obeisances to all the assembled devotees and we dedicate this presentation to His Divine Grace, Sri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON Samstapakacharya. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप गदामायं ददाति स्वापदन्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणः रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते जयतं सुरतो पंगोर्ममा मंदा मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपादम्बोजो राधा मदन मोहन दिव्यात् बृन्दारण्यो कल्पद्रुमदः श्रीमद्रत्नागदो सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमन्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालीभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्रासारसारम्भि रक्तं शिवातस्ततः कर्षन् वेणुस्वनैर्गोपीनाथ श्रियस्तु नः तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्याधीशतारिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं धर्मप्रोजितो कैतवो अत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वीर्यं वष्टमत्रमष्टशिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः साध्यो हृदि अवरुध्यते अत्र त्रिकृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणत्. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Nigama kalpatarurgalitam palam sukamukhamritadravyasamrutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam puraho rasika bhuvi bhavatah नास्ताप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवतीर्नैष्टिकी इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्मसंहितम् उत्तमश्लोकचरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषिः निःश्रेयसाय लोकस्य धन्यं स्वस्ति अयनं महत्. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. वै मे आनंद विषय मतिर्मधुपति आसकृत रतिम उद्वहत तदा गंगे वौगम गंगति. O Lord of sweetness, as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, Let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Viknaminashana Simhai Purani Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwara Om Tat Sat. So Hare Krishna everybody. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam session. So we are in chapter 5 and we hope to finish chapter 5 today. So this is part 5 of 5. And a quick recap, it's chapter 5 is quite a technical chapter and it covers quite a number of things. So to get a bird's eye view of what we have covered, so chapter 5, this is what we did in our first session. Narada asks his father Brahma many intelligent questions. So first he offers his obeisances to Lord Brahma and glorifies him. You are like the God of everybody. Everybody worships you. Everybody glorifies you, right? And you are the oldest and you are the origin and you are the creator, right? And then he says, I would like to know, I want to know questions about, what is the symptom of this creation? How did the creation come about? What is the symptom? What are the ingredients? What are the transformations and where is it established? What's the foundation, right? And who's in control ultimately? So he wants to know all these questions. And he says, but still, despite you being Deva Deva, right? How that it looks like as if you are the creator, but I have a doubt. So the doubt is you seem to be performing lots of austerities. And if you are performing austerities, then you cannot be the ultimate person. So who is that ultimate person? Who is the source of your power, of your knowledge, right? Yat Vijnana, his knowledge, Brahma's knowledge. What is the source of your knowledge, your authority, right? Your greatness and your basically your control. Who's the controller? Who's the one who's ordering you? So then Narada puts these questions to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma becomes very pleased. He says, finally, asking intelligent questions, right? So then he says, he reveals his position. He tells about how he is not the actual creator. You are very intelligent, Narada. You have actually penetrated through the Maya Shakti of the Lord by his grace to understand that I am not the original creator. So he says, Brahma says, I am subordinate to Bhagavat Virya, that supreme hero, Bhagavat. So that is none other than Krishna. And he says, I myself am only the secondary creator. I only use the ingredients which are already there through the Dravya Shakti of the Lord. And I get the knowledge of how to use these ingredients. So through the Jnana Shakti of the Lord, which is also coming from him. And the impetus and the desire for me to create itself, the passion for me to create itself, comes from the Kriya Shakti of the Lord. So everything is coming from the Lord only, and I am simply manipulating all the already created ingredients using his knowledge and using the impetus driven from him only. So I'm the secondary creator, he tells Narada. And therefore, he offers his obeisances to that personality, Vasudeva Dhimahi. So concentrates on Vasudeva, Bhagavat Vasudeva, who is Krishna. And then he says that Krishna is so wonderful that even so, his Maya Shakti is so powerful that everybody forgets about the Lord and they think that they are great or they think I am great. So then Brahma continues. He begins to talk about the difference between his position and the Lord's position. How the Lord is Vibhu. Vibhu means he is ever great, ever expanding, ever large, whereas we are Anu, ever small, ever tiny. So he goes on at some length. He talks about how the Lord is the origin of everything. Aham Sarvasva Prabhavo, Bhagavad Gita, right? Chapter 9. So it says, chapter 10, sorry. So therefore, everything which is material and spiritual emanates from the Lord. So he specifically mentions the material ingredients which originates from the five gross elements, which is the earth, water, fire, air, ether. That's the five Panchabhuta, as well as the Jiva Shakti, which is also coming from the Lord. But Jiva Shakti is Tatashta, which is the spiritual energy of the Lord. So combination of these two and therefore everything which is alive in this material world is created. And ultimately, all comes from him only. Narayana Para, he is the ultimate. And Vasudevam Sarvam Iti, everything comes from him. And Brahma says, I also come from him only. Right? Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. He emanates, a lotus comes from Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and from there, Brahma is born. And then the Lord says, Brahma says, the Lord is, although I am born from the Lord, this is the wonderful paradox of the Lord's power, right? So he says, although I am material, my body is material, and I am born from the Lord, connected by the lotus, connecting to his abdomen, but the Lord himself is always transcendental. So he's never contaminated by matter, and he's always transcendental. So this is the Achintya Shakti, special potency of the Lord, where he can transform matter into spirit and spirit into matter. And because ultimately everything comes from him only, matter and spirit. So therefore the Lord is in this way always aloof and transcendental, divyam. Yet he still enters, by his mercy, he still enters into the material creation as guna avatars. So he talks about the guna avatars, and the Lord is, although he takes control of the three gunas in the form of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, right? But nevertheless, he is never controlled by these gunas. He is, in fact, the master of the gunas. Whereas the jiva, unfortunately, the jiva are the controlled. They are controlled by these three gunas of this material nature, which is so vast. And because the jivas are very tiny, they get overwhelmed by this vast energy of the material nature. So we talked about the Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Dravya Shakti. So the material ingredients, it's created by the Dravya Shakti of the Lord, and then the the knowledge to create. So this is what this is Brahma telling. I create everything here. I'm the secondary creator, but I only use the ingredients, and these ingredients are created by the Dravya Shakti of the Lord. And then the what do you call the knowledge of what to do with these ingredients, that comes from the Jnana Shakti of the Lord, which is associated with the mode of goodness. Dravya Shakti is associated with the mode of ignorance. And then the impetus and the passion to create, to use my knowledge, to use the ingredients to create something out of it, that is Kriya Shakti, which is associated with the mode of passion. So that is also ultimately emanating from the Lord. So therefore, conditioned jivas who are under the three modes, they cannot understand the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord is beyond. He's like the sun who is covered by the clouds of material nature. So we on earth cannot see the sun when the clouds are covered. So the problem is our own vision, because our vision is dependent on the sun. So therefore, when the clouds are cleared, then we can see. So that is the understood. Therefore, the Lord is called Aduksaja, beyond the material nature. He cannot be seen or understood by the material nature, by one who is within the material nature, unless he is given pure knowledge. So then Brahma begins to explain to Narada about the creation, right? Karana Shrishti. So he talks about the glance of the Lord, Mahavishnu lying on the Karana Dakashayi ocean, how he glances upon Pradhan. Pradhan is the state of material nature when it's not active. And then by that glance, he imbues that glance. That glance is carried by Lord Shiva, but he imbues that glance with the Kala Shakti. So he expands himself as Kala, time, right, within that glance. And within that glance, the all the jivas are also brought in within that glance, and the nature of their nature is also within that glance. And the energy of the Lord, right, it energizes, the glance energizes Pradhan, right, material nature, right. In this way, then it transforms from avyakta, that means unmanifested and undifferentiated, Avisesha, Avyakta Avisesha Pradhan, becomes Prakriti. Prakriti is Vyakta, is manifested. It's now awake, active, but it's not differentiated yet. It is still Avisesha. So then, once she's energized, then she begins to differentiate. because energized by the energy of the Lord, she begins to differentiate and differentiate and differentiate. Just like how the seed of the banyan tree begins to sprout, and from the seed only all kinds of things emanate, right? The trunk, the roots, the leaves, everything. So in this way, Prakriti differentiates Visesha, and it becomes what do you call, Prakriti becomes, what's that word? Pradhan, Prakriti, and Mahatattva. Yes, sorry, Mahatattva. So Mahatattva is the differentiated energy of material nature. So like this describes, right? So, and we heard how the nature of Mahatattva is the three guna. So the three different guna, which is the mode of passion, mode of ignorance, mode of goodness. So when the Lord glanced at material nature, that energy of the Lord's glance, right, associated with the three modes of nature. So with the mode of goodness, the Lord's energy as Jnana Shakti. With the mode of ignorance, the Lord's energy as Dravya Shakti. And with the mode of passion, the Lord's energy as what do you call, Kriya Shakti. So therefore, knowledge, passion to create, and dull matter, ingredients. So we heard about how these different Shaktis of the Lord, which went through, which associated themselves with the three modes of nature. So, and then they affect the Ahankara. The first element created is Ahankara, which is the false ego. So it's the most subtlest element. So Ahankara, the false ego of the jivas, they associate with these three modes of nature, right? And in this way, they are transformed. So when the mode of ignorance associates with ahankara, or in other words, the energy of the mode of ignorance, which is dravya shakti, associates with ahankara, that ahankara becomes transformed into what is called tamasat. So ego in association with mode of ignorance is called tamasat. And from Tamasat, we heard about how Tamasat created all the ingredients. From Tamasat came sound, right? From sound, ether. Ether is the element which carries the sound. And then from ether, we heard about how uh, what do you call, after ether comes air, right? So the panchabhutas. So how the air carries sound and touch, and then from air transformed some more, and then it became water. So sorry, it became fire, and then fire carries sound, touch, and form, and then transformed into water, and it added on taste, and then it transformed into earth, and it added on smell, fragrance. Right. So in this way, the Panchabhutas were created one by one. So we heard about all these things in our session 3 and session 4. We talked about it. And then the material objects of enjoyment are also created by these 5 elements. So what is these objects of? So every object of enjoyment in material world must have sound, must have taste, must have fragrance, must have form, right? So like this. So in this way they are enjoyed. So that's called pancha tanmatras. And from there, right? We heard about how the body is created. So from the 5 elements, and then the 5 elements transform and interact with each other to create the 3 doshas, the kapha, pitta, and vata, and how the interaction between these 3 doshas, they form the 7 units of the body, which is like the cell, the blood, the muscle, the bone, the nerves, the various aspects of the body. So that's called the sarira. Sarira is the body. And we also heard after that, from the mode of passion, right? From the kriya shakti, sorry, from the mode of goodness, from the mode, just now we heard about how the mode of ignorance in association with the false ego, right? From Dravya Shakti, all the ingredients of matter were created. Okay. Then we also heard from the mode of goodness. So from Jnana Shakti, the mode of goodness, mind was created. Another element, the mind was created. And also the 10 demigods which control the directions. You know, there are 10 directions: north, south, east, west, southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest, up and down. So, in this way, 10 directions. And there are demigods in control of each of these. And they were all created by the mode of goodness, by the energy of this. So, in this way, Lord Brahma utilized all these energies and created them. So, like that, so mind and the demigods of the 10 directions. This is coming from the mode of goodness. Ahankara transformed in the mode of goodness. And then the mode of passion, we heard about how Kriya Shakti emanating from the mode of passion in interaction with the Ahankara, with the false ego, it transforms and it creates the senses, the indriyas. So indriyas, there are 10, 5 jnanendriyas and 5 karmendriyas, the knowledge acquiring senses like mouth, nose, ears, eyes, and things like that. And then the 5 action senses like arms, legs, tongue, and then the genitals and the evacuating agent. So, in this way, the 5 plus 5, 10 senses of the body, right? And also the intelligence. So, the intelligence is a product of the mode of passion. And prana, the life air, which is circulating within our body, which is constantly moving. So therefore, it's a product of the mode of passion. So all of these, therefore, we saw how the three modes of nature, they are they are acting to transform our false ego into creating all these various elements, which all of them assemble together to form the body. So various types of bodies, the gross body as well as the subtle body. The gross bodies are the senses and all that. The subtle body is the mind, intelligence, and the false ego. So in this way, they form together, and all the living entities within creation, within this universe, from the topmost to the bottommost, they are basically a mixture of these elements, these 26 elements altogether. Right? So by Bhagavad Shakti, we heard how all of these energy, all of these things, right? It's only possible by Bhagavad Shakti, by the power of the Lord. So it is due to the power of the Lord, all of these things. So we heard in detail how the power of the Lord transforms one from another, interacts from one element to another, and in this way, all the different elements were created. So we can understand that it all came from the root, which is the Lord. So by Bhagavad Shakti, bodies and the universe are created. This is the creation. So now we continue, right? So in today, we are moving on to our session 5, and we can try to finish another 8 verses. So we could finish this today. So Brahma continues to speak. Thus, all the universes remained thousands of aeons within the water of the causal ocean. So remember when these elements were all created, right? And then they all form the universes. You know, it's not just one universe, there are many, many, many universes. And they are all created automatically by the glance, simply by the glance of Mahavishnu within the Karana ocean. Mahavishnu is lying down on the Karana ocean. Karana means causes, the ocean of causes. This is a spiritual ocean. This is a spiritual ocean. It is in the corner of the spiritual world. In one corner of the spiritual world, the Lord glances at that corner. There is a cloud in that corner. That cloud is the shadow of the energy of the Lord, Pradhan. And the Lord glances upon it. And by his glance, he carries himself into that energy, right? And in the form of time, in the form of all the jivas he's bringing, and then he enters into this area, within this area, and water emanates from his body, and it fills up a bottom part of this area. So that is called the Karana ocean. So in this Karana ocean, within the shadow cloud of Pradhan Shakti, within the spiritual world, the Lord is lying down like this. And from the water, we described how, his energies, Jnana Shakti, Dravya Shakti, and Kriya Shakti, they interact with the material nature independently, of course, by the supervision of the Lord. But the Lord is, he doesn't have to think about it. It happens automatically. So in this way, they interact, and all the elements are all floating within the ocean. All the 26 elements are all floating within this ocean, and they are transforming. They are differentiating. So this is therefore the Mahatattva already. And in this way, the universes have all formed. So there are millions of universes all over. As many bubbles there are within the ocean, in that many bubbles is like that, the many universes there are. And these universes is described remain within the ocean for thousands of aeons. Aeons means ages. They were there within the causal ocean only. And the Lord, so here is very interesting, the Lord is described as Jiva. So we'll talk about that in a while. But here, the Lord, he enters into each of these bubbles. So, each of these universe is like a bubble within this Karana ocean. And he is lying there as the very, very large Mahavishnu, Karana Dakashayi Vishnu. But he now enters into each of these bubbles. How is that possible? We cannot even enter into one bubble. So he enters into every one of these bubbles. So it's like described like an egg. So therefore, these bubbles are like an egg. So, therefore it's called Andam. Andam means egg. So he enters into each of them, and by his entry, he is like the life of the party. So without him, everything is dull. So when he enters into each of this, they all light up with his energy. So they become fully animated. So Prabhupada is described. So now it's interesting. We will talk about how this happens and all in a while. But it's interesting that Srimad Bhagavatam in this particular verse describes the Lord as Jiva. So normally we understand Jiva as the living entity. But here he is also described as Jiva in the sense that just like we are called Atma, the Lord is also called Atma, but he is Paramatma, right? So therefore, the actual meaning of Jiva means living entity. And when the Lord is also described as Jiva, it means that he is also a living entity. Therefore, this is the greatest proof that the Lord is not impersonal Brahma Jyoti. He is not impersonal. He is a living personality. So therefore, he is called the Jiva. And further to corroborate this, in the Vedas, right, there are two places in the Vedas, the Katha Upanishad and the Svetasvatara Upanishad, both coming, I think one of them from the Yajur Veda and the other one is from the, I'm not sure which Veda, the other one. But anyway, these are famous Upanishads, Katha Upanishad and Svetasvatara Upanishad. They both have the same verse. The first two lines of the verse is the same. It's a very famous verse. Prabhupada likes to quote it a lot. Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadahati Kaman. So the verse says, Nityananam. He says, amongst all the eternal living entities, Nitya Anam. Nityanam means the living entities who are eternal. Among all the eternal beings, that means in other words, the jivas, among all the jivas who are eternal, there is one person who is the supreme most person amongst all, and he is also classified as a living being. Therefore, Nityananam, Nityananam, amongst there are many living, eternal living entities, and there is one person who is the greatest amongst all of them, Nityananam, right? And then it continues, Chetanas, amongst all conscious beings. what is the symptom of life? Symptoms of life is consciousness, right? Chetananas. Amongst all conscious beings, Chetanananam, there is one supreme conscious being. So again, you see, therefore he is described as Jiva, he is described as conscious, but at the same time, we are also Jiva, we are also conscious, right? We are also alive, we are also conscious, but there is a difference. He is Vibhu and we are Anu. So, of course, the Lord is described in so many other ways, but at the same time, he can also be called Jiva. Of course, he is Vishnu, right? Vishnu Tattva, therefore he is Vibhu, he is different. We are called Jiva Tattva. But the Lord is still nevertheless a living being, right? And he's a personal person. So this is where it is. And then the verse continues, right? I forgot to complete the verse. Nityanam, Nityananam, Chetanas, Chetananam, Eko Bahunam, that one person, Eko, that one person is completely maintaining and satisfying the all the other living beings. So therefore, this is the description, and it is given in the Vedas, so in the what do you call the Upanishads, right? Katha Upanishad and Svetashvatara Upanishad. So anyway, so Prabhupada says the Lord is described here as the Jiva because he is the leader of all other Jivas. So Nityanam, Nityananam, right? Chetanas, Chetanananam. He's the leader, and he's alive, and he's conscious, and and this indicates he's a person. The Lord's relation with the living entities is like that of the father with the sons, right? So therefore, both father and son are also living beings. So in the same way, the Lord, but there is a difference, a gulf of difference between the father and the child. So then Brahma continues to Narada Muni, right? Sa eva, that one person who is Purusha, who is the ultimate enjoyer, right? Who is the ultimate person. Although lying in the causal ocean, came out of it and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he entered into each universe. So this is Karanodakashayi Vishnu. He enters into each of these bubbles of these universes. And when he enters there, right, he is also called Hiranyagarbha. Hiranya means gold, Garbha means womb. So that is like golden womb. So it's each of these universes are effulgent because he enters into these universes. That's why they are effulgent. Otherwise, they are dark, right? So therefore, he is called Hiranyagarbha. And from his feet, from his pores of his body, water emanates everywhere, and he lies down in that water also with Sesha. So at that time, he is called Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. So each of these eggs or wombs, each of these shells or bubbles, right? It is called Garbha. So each of these is sometimes called anda, means egg, and sometimes called garbha, means womb. Inside there, the Lord expanded himself inside there, and he lied down on there as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu means that Vishnu who lied down in the ocean of Garbha, the ocean of the within the creation of the womb. So this is what Brahma is saying. And he assumed the Virat Rupa with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. So Brahma is describing, so from the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, because Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is within that universe, but he is invisible. The living entities cannot see him unless they have the eyes to see him, right? So he he expands himself in an illusionary way as the Virat Rupa. Virat Rupa means the universal form. So the universal form is actually an illusion. It's not a real form, but it's like a representation. So the universe, the entire universe, which is made up of various planetary systems, they represent different body parts of the Lord. So in this way, it is imagined that the entire universe is made up of him only. But he actually is not the universe directly. So he is lying down as the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. But it's everything is being held because of him only. So therefore, for the benefit of the of the yogis who want to meditate upon the Lord, who do not know about his personal form, they can at least meditate upon the universe. And when they meditate upon the universe, to do them a favor, the Lord expands himself as Virat Rupa as part of the universal form. So it's actually a favor for the impersonal yogis, because when he expands himself as the Virat Rupa, then because the yogis are meditating upon the universe, so and he already expanded as the universal form, so therefore they get the benefit of meditating upon the Lord. So you could say that the yogis are meditating upon the Lord simply because the Lord expanded himself as the universal form. If the Lord didn't expand himself as a universal form, then the yogis, when they meditate upon the universe, they are just meditating upon dead matter, right? It's everything is just inert, just ingredients. It has, but because the Lord expands himself as Virat Rupa, even though in an imaginary form, right? So the universe now has meaning. It carries meaning of being associated with the Lord indirectly. So that just by that indirect association of the Lord, the yogis who are meditating upon him, they get sukruti, they get benefited. So that's the thing. The Lord is always finding ways to indirectly and directly. So for the devotees, he directly connects with the devotees. Whereas for those who are, don't want to be devotees, to help them, he indirectly expands himself in various ways. So Brahma continues. Great philosophers like yogis, right, and jnanis, they imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. So, because of this mercy of the Lord, who has expanded himself into the illusionary form of the Virat Rupa, the universal form, the yogis, they when they meditate upon the universe in the various planetary systems and everything, they imagine them to be different parts of the bodies of the Lord. So therefore they imagine, like, there are upper planetary systems are the upper limbs of the Lord, the lower planetary systems are the lower limbs of the Lord. In this way they imagine. So Prabhupada says the word kalpayanti. So in this verse, there is a word, Sanskrit word called kalpayanti, and it is very significant because the word kalpayanti means kalpana. You know, what is the word kalpana? In Tamil also we say kalpana. So therefore, it's called imagination, right? It's like illusion. So therefore, the word kalpayanti, it means imagine. So it's very significant. The Virat Rupa, the universal form of the Lord, is an imagination. So it is not real, but it is still valid because the Lord approves it. He put his chop there. Okay, I accept this as valid. You are imagining me, right? Fine. I put my chop over there that your imagination is a valid imagination, is authorized. So therefore, you will get benefit, even imagining me in this way. Although he is not directly present in that way. So therefore, uh, the Virat is an imagination of the speculative philosophers, and it's for those people who are unable to adjust to the eternal two-handed form of Lord Krishna. Because there are people out there who cannot accept there is a supreme Lord. So for various reasons, either due to gross ignorance or simply because they are very uncomfortable about the aspect of someone greater than them, or that means they have to follow what they say. So and they want to be free to do whatever they want. So they don't want to accept authority. So there are people like that, and even people who do know also, they are envious of the Lord. So they cannot accept that the Lord is greater than them, or they have some kind of misunderstanding about the Lord. So therefore, there are various people like this, right? So who are unable to adjust to the eternal two-handed form of Lord Krishna. So to benefit these other people, these philosophers who, at least by dint of their philosophy and their austerities, they come to a certain level as jnanis and dhyanis. So to help them, right, the Lord is always helpful. So he does this. So Prabhupada says, the idea impressed herein, so the point about these two verses is to understand that the Supreme Lord is conscious of every part of his body. So even though we imagine different parts of the universe as different parts of the body, so therefore the Lord, he did not forsake any part of this universe. There is no part in this universe which is without the mercy of the Lord. So because the Lord himself takes each of these universes as part of himself, right? So therefore, every part of this universe is, so the Supreme Lord is conscious of every part of this universe. And everywhere in the creation, is there anything beyond, nothing is beyond his control. So everything within this universe is part of his control. That is to be understood from this. Then Brahma continues. This is a nice verse. Purusasya mukam brahma shatram etasya bhavaha urvor vaishyo bhagavan abhyam shudro vyajayata. So this verse, what this verse means? So this verse is a famous verse. It's saying this Virat Rupa, the universal form of the Lord, or the structure of the universe, can also be imagined in a different way. Just like how the upper body of the Lord is like the upper planetary systems, the lower parts of the body of the Lord is like the lower planetary system. So like that people imagine. So another way you can imagine also is in this way. Purusasya Mukam Brahma. So the Lord's mouth, so the entire body of the Lord represents the social order of humanity, known as the Varnashram system. So the social order consists of four classes of humans: the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras. So the Lord also represents each of these classes. So it is says here, Purusasya. So the Purusha's Mukha is the mouth or the face, right? It represents Brahma, which means the Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas represent the mouth or the face of the Lord. So the mouth of the Lord. Shatram etasya bhavaha. Bhavaha means the arms. So the arms of the Lord represent the Kshatriyas. And Urvur Vaishyo Bhagavata. So the waist, Urvo means the waist. The waist of Bhagavata or the Lord represents the Vaishyas. In other words, the stomach area, right? And Padyam Sudro Vyajayata. So the lotus feet of the Lord is reserved for the Shudras. So the Lord is merciful. Every part of his body is equally wonderful, right? Just like how we say every part of the body, Angyani Yasha Shaklindriya Vritimanti. Every part of his body can do the function of every other part. That's the wonderful nature of the Lord. And we always like to see the face of the Lord all the time. The face of the Lord gets the most, it's the most glorified, eulogized poet. So many poems written on the face of the Lord, right? Everybody wants to see the face of the Lord. But the most merciful nature of the Lord reserves the lotus feet to the Shudras. So even the lowest of the Varnashram system cannot say that they did not get the greatest mercy of the Lord. So everyone received the mercy of the Lord, right? The Kshatriyas, the arms, the Vaishyas, the stomach. Stomach is very important, right? Because the stomach produces, it actually digests all the food and it nourishes the entire body. Without stomach, the body does not get nourishment, right? And but everything goes through the mouth, which is through the head, the Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas, because they can discriminate. The head, the head can understand what to put in the mouth and what not to put in the mouth. So therefore, they understand sacrifice, yagya. They can discriminate what is to be sacrificed and what is not. So the head is Brahmana, and therefore all sacrifice goes through the mouth and enters into the stomach. And the stomach nourishes everybody. The Vaishyas, they nourish the entire body, right? And the arms, the purpose of the arms is to protect. So protect the head, and it also serves to uh, take things. If you want to feed the mouth, the arms are needed to feed the mouth, right? So the Kshatriyas, they understand administration and they understand protection. So protection and administration, protection of the head, of the body, and administration of the foodstuff of yagya, how yagya can enter into the mouth. So that is the Kshatriyas. And the legs or the lotus feet of the Lord, this is the foundation. So the Lord is standing, the Lord needs to walk. So therefore, the Shudras, they are like the servants. So the feet are the servants of the body, isn't it? So without the feet, we cannot do many things. We cannot go places. There's no mobility, right? There's no support, foundation. So in this way, it is described, Purusasya Mukham. So this same verse, which is appearing in Bhagavatam, is also described in the Vedas, in the Purusha Shukta part, in the Chandogya Upanishad. So in the Purusha Shukta, it is described the same point also. The Brahmana was the mouth, the Kshatriya was the two arms, the Vaishyas are like the thighs. Sometimes they describe the Vaishya as the thighs, sometimes they describe as the waist region. So waist region represents the stomach and the thighs, both together. And from his feet, the Shudras. So this verse is also there in the Vedas. So Prabhupada mentions this is confirmed in the Vedas. There it is, Rig Veda, right? So 10.90.12. This is in the Chandogya Upanishad, I believe, in the Rig Veda. This is the verse. Brahmano asya mukam asit bahu rajanya kritaha. So Brahmano mukam, again mukam, Brahma, right? And Raja is like the Kshatriyas. Bahu, so it's the arms, right? Etat asya yad Vaishya, so Vaishya is the waist and the waist area. And Padyam, Shudro. So Shudras are represented in the feet of the Lord. So in this way, we can understand the division of society, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras. And they are all important. So no one can say, I don't like the feet, so let me cut off my feet. It's nonsense, right? And every part of the body needs to be healthy, right? But they are all differentiated for their own purpose. For example, you don't feed yagya into the mouth of the Lord using the feet, correct? You don't use the feet to put food into the mouth. So there is a purpose. So therefore, what is used to put food into the mouth? The arms are used. So therefore, the Kshatriyas, they organize yagya. So yagya is fed as sacrifice into the mouth of the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are the ones who receive the sacrifice, and they conduct the sacrifice. And therefore, the Kshatriyas serve the Brahmanas because the Brahmanas can distinguish. Because amongst all the parts of the body, the arms, the legs, the stomach, the feet, only the head can distinguish. Only the head has the intelligence to understand. Only the head has the vision to see the truth. So therefore, one who is trained as Brahmana, they know what is correct, what is not correct, what is tattva, what is not tattva, what is sacrifice, what is not yagya, right? So therefore, they alone have the power to discriminate and direct the rest of society. So therefore, the Brahmanas direct the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, right? Actually, the Brahmanas, they direct the Kshatriyas, and the Kshatriyas, they take control of all the rest of it in order to serve the yagya. Because the Kshatriyas know, they cannot enjoy food by them. The fingers and the arms cannot say, why should the food go into the mouth? Let me just enjoy the food with my fingers. Can the finger enjoy the food? It cannot. But if the mouth enjoys the food, right, the entire body, including the fingers, are nourished. So therefore, everyone has a certain role to play. So Prabhupada says, the parts of the body are related to the body. Similarly, the living being must know his relationship with the Lord. So here's another important point. So society of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, which is not connected with the Supreme Lord, the Virat Rupa, or the Supreme Personal Bhagavan, then it is not a society. So even though there is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, but if it's not all connected by the Supreme Lord, if it's not God conscious society, if it is not a Krishna conscious society, so there may be Brahmana, there may be Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. If it's not a Krishna conscious society, then it is in vain. It is a useless society. So therefore, it must be connected. So parts of the body are related to the body. Similarly, the living being must know his relationship with the Lord. So we may have various activities, right? We cannot say we are not, this Varnashram is not there, right? It's not organized. That's the problem currently. But even though it's not organized, in society, if we look around us, everybody is acting in one of these roles. Like even in a company, for example, in a company there will be a director, who will be directing, and then there will be executives who are like the Kshatriyas who are executing and administrating, and then there are the workers, right? There are the business accounting people or the marketing people, and then there are the workers, at the staff. So like that is there. And in every society, in every part of in this world, there are always these uh, classes. The only problem is because it's not organized now, and it is not fit according to guna, it's not fit according to nature, it's not fit according to training or learning. So therefore, society is in chaos. But anyway, so Prabhupada says this. And then Prabhupada continues, the intelligent class of men, he talks about the Brahmanas. So the intelligent class of men, the Brahmanas, are therefore especially responsible for broadcasting the knowledge of our relationship with the Lord. So they are important to always instill faith of the Lord into all the other classes. So that is the nature of the Brahmana. His job is to serve the Supreme Lord, and by serving the Supreme Lord perfectly, therefore society is benefited automatically. Because by yagya, rains come, by rains you get grains, by grains you get living entities who can, continue their existence. All prosperity will be showered when yagya is properly performed for the pleasure of Vishnu. And the Brahmana knows how to do this perfectly. If he doesn't do this, then he is not a Brahmana. He is a fake. Okay. So therefore, he's especially responsible for broadcasting this knowledge of the Lord. So with the Lord and leading the general mass of people to the right path. So they need to show the Kshatriyas where to go. It's the head who tells the body where to move. If the head is not there, then the feet will not know where to go. The arms will not know what to do. So therefore, they need to guide the general mass of people to the right path. So it's a very heavy responsibility, and they need to be trained, and they need to have the right conditioning. They need to have the right nature. There is a nature for the Brahmanas. So the Brahmanas, therefore, are required to know the Vedas. So therefore, when you say Brahmana, we cannot have illiterate Brahmanas. Brahmanas who don't know scripture, who don't know tattva, who don't know anything, but they call themselves Brahmanas. So that is not what we want. In ISKCON, we want to create a culture of society of Brahmanas. So therefore, we stress everybody must learn Bhagavad Gita, must learn Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Ishopanishad, must study Srimad Bhagavatam, and in this way go through the various scriptures, and and they must know it, and by knowing it they must practice it. They must be conscious of this knowledge. They must practice practically apply it in their lives. So that is Brahmana. And they must imbibe the qualities of these scriptures within them. Right? So that is the nature. Right? The Lord is the source of everything. And thus the end of all knowledge is to know the Lord, to know our relationship with Him and to act according to that relationship only. So this is the culmination of everything, right? And various details which is given in the scripture, it all culminates to this one point, right? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, right? He is the source of everything. Aham sarvasva prabhavo mata sarvam pravartiti iti matva bhajate mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. One who knows that the Lord is the source of everything, he, with all his heart, what he will do? With all his heart, he will dedicate his life and his activities for the pleasure of the Lord in everything that he does. So that is the nature. He is no longer interested in self-glorification, in puja, in distinction, in honor, in getting material gains. No, all of this is not important for him. So that is important for us to all to understand. Society has to know this, right? And the Brahmana particularly has this role. Then Prabhupada continues, the administrative class is meant for protecting the living beings so they can serve this purpose. So that's the purpose of Kshatriyas or administrators, right? Their purpose is like they are the servant of the society, capable of with great capacity. They can administer, they can lead, they can protect also. And the protection is the most important qualification of a Kshatriya. If the Kshatriya is not able to give protection, then he is a pseudo Kshatriya. If a Kshatriya is only good at administration, or is only good at taking position of leadership, or is only good at taking name, fame, glory in the position of leadership, but if they cannot give protection, then it's a pseudo Kshatriya. Right? So, and Prabhupada continues then with the Vaishya. The mercantile class is meant for producing fruit grains. So, food grains, of course, to nourish human beings. So, it's not to produce slaughterhouses, and eating unofferable food stuff. So, the Vaishya knows the art of agriculture. So, the art of agriculture for producing food grains and distributing them to complete human society. So everyone, so nobody within human society, not only human society, even all living entities, right? We heard in Canto 1 how Yudhishthira Maharaj in his kingdom, all living entities, the praja, even the animals, all of them were fully satisfied. Nobody was in want. So the Vaishyas are responsible for this. They are the nurturers, right? The nurturers who nurture human society by their toil, by their knowledge, by their skill in agriculture. And when there is agriculture, there is also cow protection, right? It comes together. First agriculture, then cow protection, because you need both. So that the whole population is given a chance to live comfortably and discharge the duties of human life. So their purpose is there, led by the able administration of the Kshatriyas and given protection by the Kshatriyas against dacoits, against disorder, and things like that. So the mercantile class is also required to give protection to the cows. So agriculture and cow protection, Kriti and Goraksha. So in order to get sufficient milk, so the purpose of cow protection is to ensure milk. So ensure that deities have milk, devotees have milk, the human beings have milk. So that is the purpose of cow protection. And milk is for yagya, right? Without milk, you cannot have ghee, you cannot have you cannot have yogurt, you can't do yagya. So that and it's a wonderful symbiosis between the cow and the human life. So in order to get sufficient milk and milk products, which alone can give the proper health and intelligence. So that's very interesting, isn't it? So milk is therefore glorified in Ayurveda as the miracle food. Miracle food in the sense that it affects both the body and the intelligence in a very, very fine way. So it is Prabhupada always said, we need to develop spiritual tissues in the brain. So drinking plenty of milk helps that. Why? Because milk is very much in the mode of goodness. So when we eat food in the mode of goodness, particularly a lot, then our bodies start producing, acting in the mode of goodness. We develop tissues which are in the mode of goodness. And the mode of goodness is needed to understand spiritual topics. Sometimes, we can't understand certain things because sometimes we may be in the lower modes of nature. So when we come to a higher mode, the mode of goodness is illuminating. So many things is understood in the proper way, in the correct manner. And foundation to the mode of goodness, they say we are what we eat, right? And even in the Bible, Jesus is described, he ate butter and milk and honey. It is described. So all in the mode of goodness, right? Panchagavya, madhu, we use them for abhishek. So these are all wonderful foodstuffs, right? Which alone can give proper health. Not only proper health, it also gives proper intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Not in order to maintain a civilization perfectly meant for knowledge of the ultimate truth. Right? So Prabhupada then continues, and the laborer class or the Shudra, who are neither intelligent nor powerful, right? And that is true, in human society, if there were 1 million people, right? Not everybody is in the same level of intelligence. Not everybody is in the same level of ability in terms of power or in terms of administration or in terms of their nature. So therefore, there's always a percentage. So and some people, due to their past karma and due to their inclination, right, they are born in a certain role, right, and they are suited for that particular task. Just like in a beehive, you have the queen bee, you have the army bee, you have the worker bee, you have the babysitting bees. So like that, there are different types of bees. So human society also, they have different qualities. So it's not based on birth. Guna karma chaturvaryam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagasaha. Four types of people in human society, which is differentiated based on guna, quality, and karma, his activity. What is his inclination? What kind of activity he or she likes to do? So according to his inclination and according to his nature, qualities, so therefore, he is categorized in these uh, varna, and they all work together in a perfect harmony, centered with the Lord in the center in everything that they do. So what do? The laborer class, the Shudra, who are neither intelligent nor powerful, they can help by physical services. So they can be told, do this, do that, do that. So they can assist. So by assisting, they help because they are assisting, they are part of the chain of sacrifice. So sacrifice, yagya, is not only the credit of the Brahmana. The Brahmana is the one who is feeding the final sacrificial ingredients into the fire. But for the Brahmana to able to hold the sacrificial ingredient, to be able to conduct the fire sacrifice peacefully, to have everything done and everything arranged and all the ingredients available in his hand, just like that. And for him to be able to do this, it is because of the Kshatriyas who have given him protection, who have administered and organized things so wonderfully that everything is easy for the Brahmana to do, and because of the Vaishyas who have contributed all the food grains, the cows, the geese, the fire, everything is part of the Vaishyas' labor and by his organization and intelligence, and by the Sudras who have in different ways helped in various aspects of the yagya. So this is, and it's exactly like in our temple also. So in our temple, not everybody is giving class. So somebody gives class, somebody preaches, somebody is the priest, right? And then there is temple presidents. or there's administrators, right? There are various heads of program, heads of departments or whatever, who organize matters and who give protection also, supposedly. And in this way, and then there is the Vaishyas who they cannot, maybe they are not inclined to speak from the scripture or whatever, but they have wealth, and they know how to produce things. They know how to supply things to the temple. They know how to give things, right? They support the temple. So the Vaishyas and the Shudras, who can assist in various ways. There's so many things to be done, right? So someone needs to carry this, someone needs to plant this, someone needs to uh, you know clean this or wash this or cut this. So always there's some things to be done. So in this way, everybody works together. Nobody is, everybody is important, everybody is useful, and it's all part of this harmonious environment. So these laborer classes, they can help by physical services to the other higher classes in perfect relationship of and thus be benefited by their cooperation. So everybody who is part and parcel of the service, even though it's a small service, just like when Lord Ram was building the bridge, right? Hanuman and all the monkeys were carrying, they were doing the major work, but the little creatures like the woodland creatures, like the squirrel, like the spider, all of them were also carrying, helping to carry, doing their part in building the bridge. So even though it is small, because in some way they are linked to the other devotees doing the service, they also benefit. The the benefit of yagya flows from the brahmana to the kshatriyas, to the vaishyas, to the shudras. So then Prabhupada continues, right? Therefore, the universe is a complete unit in relationship with the Lord. And without this relationship with the Lord, the whole human society is disturbed and is without any peace and prosperity. So that's the thing. That's the world currently. A world without Krishna in the center, a world without Vishnu in the center. So we have to put the Lord within our lives. So it begins with us putting the Lord in our lives and in our families' lives and in our work lives. And then in this way, we preach and we expand and we show a good example. We show how things can be done this way. And other people will see the model and they will see the peace and prosperity and they will see the happiness, and then they will be inclined to also follow. So in this way, this is the perfect preaching is self preaching, right? So in when we practice everything nicely and when we show others that it's so wonderful, then they will also be inclined to take it up, right? So we cannot be armchair preachers, who don't practice what we preach, who don't walk our talk. So we have to imbibe all these qualities, then it becomes very wonderful. So then Brahma continues to Narada Muni. He says, Bhurloka kalpita padhyam, Bhuvarloka asya nabitaha, Vrida swarloka urasa, Maharloko mahatmanaha. So he says, the lower planetary systems up to the limit of the earthly stratum are imagined to be situated in his legs. So he's describing the Virat Rupa to Narada. So he talked about in the beginning, Narada Muni, Brahma just said people imagine the upper limbs and the lower limbs like that. And then he talked about the Varnashram. Varnashram is another way to imagine the Lord's body. But now he is going into more detail of the Virat Rupa. So the lower planetary systems, that means all of these lower planetary systems, Atala Loka, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. So these are the 7 planetary systems lower than Bhuloka. So Earth is this stratum. This is called Bhuloka. This is Earth. So everything below Earth, right, up to the limit of the earthly stratum. That means anything below Earth are imagined to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary systems, beginning from Bhuvarloka, are situated in his navel. So from Earth all the way to the heavenly planets until the heavenly planet. Haven't touched the heavenly planet yet. From Earth, all this space over here until Swarga, right? It is called Bhuvar Loka. So the Brahma continues, and the still higher planetary systems occupied by the demigods and highly cultured sages and saints are situated in the chest of the Supreme Lord. So the lower legs of the Lord are the lower planetary systems, right? Then the waist of the Lord is the Bhuvar Loka, between Earth and Swarga. So this is Bhuvar. Between Earth and Swarga, this is Bhuvar. Below is Bhu Loka. Bhu is Earth, and below is Bhu. From here to here is Bhuvar. And from Swarga Loka all the way to Brahma Loka is called Swar, right? Sometimes called Swarga. All of these sometimes is also called Swarga, but Swar. So in this way, they can be imagined, right? So Prabhupada says, in other words, no one within this universe is without a relationship with the Lord. So as I mentioned earlier also, the Lord expands himself to every part of the universe, even the lower planetary systems. There is a relationship with the Lord. So from the forefront of the chest up to the head of the universal form of the Lord are situated the planetary systems, Jana Loka and Tapa Loka. So Jana Loka is here, Tapa Loka is here, right? So this is the forefront of the chest of the Lord. Higher than that will be the Hedla, which is Brahma Loka. So this is neck, sorry. From forefront, from the chest up to the neck of the universal form is Tapa Loka and Jana Loka. And whereas the Satya Loka, the topmost planetary system, is situated on the head of the form. So the Virat Rupa, the head, is representative of the highest planetary system, Brahma Loka. So Brahma Loka is also the connection from Brahma Loka to the spiritual world. Because from Brahma Loka, Lord Brahma will leave and enter into the spiritual world after he dies. So there is a connection there. So sometimes Brahma Loka, there are two meanings. It could mean Brahma Loka within the spiritual world. It could also mean Brahma Loka in the material world. So in the material world, Brahma Loka is where Lord Brahma lives. Okay? And it is not eternal. It is destroyed when the universal shell is destroyed. But the Brahma Loka in the spiritual world, which is connected to the Brahma Loka in the material world, that Brahma Loka is broadly described as the Loka of Brahman. So when they say Brahma Loka, it means not Brahma's abode, it means Brahman's abode. Brahman, Brahmajyoti. So that Brahma Loka is different from the Brahma Loka within the material creation. But they are connected, right? Because from there, Brahma can go there. So therefore, the spiritual planets, however, are Sanatanaha. So the Brahman Loka is eternal, whereas Brahma Loka is not eternal. Okay, but the same word is used for both Brahma Loka in this particular verse. So this is described by Prabhupada. He says, sometimes Satya Loka, the planet in which Brahma resides, so Brahma Loka is also known as Satya Loka, right? And Satya means truth, right? So again, there's truth in the spiritual world also. So sometimes Satya Loka or Brahma Loka, Satya Loka is called Brahma Loka. But the Brahma Loka mentioned here in this verse is not the same as the Satya Loka planetary system where Brahma lives. The Brahma Loka is eternal because it's in the spiritual world. Whereas Satya Loka within the material world is not eternal. It will be destroyed when Lord Brahma dies. And to distinguish between the two, the adjective Sanatana has been used in this case. So people may argue, oh, this verse, Brahma Loka, is talking about Brahma's abode. But Brahma's abode is not eternal. In many other places, it was mentioned already. But here it is called eternal. So that means that Brahma Loka that the verse is referring to is the spiritual world. So Prabhupada continues, in the spiritual sky, all the planets are as good as the Lord himself. The Lord is all spirit, and his name, fame, glories, qualities, pastimes, etc. are all non-different from him because he is absolute. And as such, the planets in the kingdom of God are also non-different from him. So how is that? The planets are also non-different from him. Everything, his energy, every creation is part and parcel of him. How is it non-different? Because the planets are also due to his energy, the Lord's energy, the spiritual energy of the Lord, the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord, the Swabhava, the direct potency of the Lord. It can be classified, these innumerable, the energies are innumerable, but they can be classified into three categories, which is called the Shandini Shakti, the Samvit Shakti, and the Hladini Shakti. So we all know Hladini Shakti, we have heard of Hladini Shakti. Hladini Shakti is the bliss energy, the Ananda potency of the Lord, which is representative of Radharani. And Samvit Shakti is the consciousness, cognizance, to know everything, right? And to have consciousness in everything. That is directly under the Supreme Lord Krishna himself, Samvit Shakti. It represents Chit potency. Hmm? And the Sat potency, which is eternal, the eternity potency, that is representative of the Sandini Shakti of the Lord, which is representative of Lord of Balaram, right? So in this way, we have Samvit, Sandini, Samvit, and Haladini, or Sat Chit Ananda. So these are all the energies of the Lord, and they are all describing the Lord. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha, right? So Sat Chit Ananda, Sandini, Samvit, and Haladini. So in this way, therefore, Sandini Shakti, the eternal potency of the Lord in the form of Sandini Shakti, is the foundation for all the planets in the spiritual world. So therefore, since the planets come from Sandini Shakti, and the Sandini Shakti is part of the Lord, which is the Sandini Shakti comes from Balaram, when Balaram comes from the Lord also. So therefore, ultimately everything is the Lord. So therefore, you could say that as such, the planets in the kingdom of God are also non-different from him. So Prabhupada says that. In those planets, there is no difference between the body and the soul, because everything is Atma, spirit. Nor is there any influence of time. There is no time, everything, because it's eternal. Time means there's a beginning and an end, right? As we experience it in the material world, so it's different. There is time in the spiritual world, but it is only a show. It is not real, in the sense that it's part of the Yoga Maya Shakti. So for the purpose of pastime, there is, because Krishna goes to tend the cows in the afternoon, and then he comes back in the evening. So just to mark that there is such a thing called time, but it's going on eternally. So therefore it is eternal. It is not the same as the time here, because here we are bound by time. Time and tide waits for no man, but in the spiritual world it waits. Time is a servant of the denizens of the spiritual world, whereas in the material world the Lord expands himself as time, and he controls everyone within the material. So there's a difference. And on top of that, the spiritual world is full of varieties, eternally increasing variety. Can you imagine that? Eternally increasing variety which is going on and on and on, increasing. That's why it's described. Radharani's cooking, she cooks, continues to cook, and everything she cooks is different. So there is how to imagine that, right? It's called Achintya Shakti. We cannot imagine it. It's inconceivable. We will understand it. We may not understand it, but we will witness it when we go to the spiritual world. Hmm? So this is the nature of the spiritual world. So all variegatedness in the spiritual planet is also one with the Lord. And therefore the Vedic aphorism, Ekam Eva Dityam which is from the Chandogya Upanishad, is fully realized in that Sanatana atmosphere of the spiritual world. So full varieties, full variegatedness, full differentiation, we can see that only in the spiritual world, where it goes on expanding and expanding eternally. So interesting, isn't it? Mhm. So the Virat universal form of the Lord is an object, is an imagination of the material world. It has nothing to do with the spiritual world or of the kingdom of God, because everything in the Virat Rupa is material elements, like the different parts of the planets of the system, right? The upper planetary system, the middle planetary system, Swar, Bhuvar, and Bhu. These are the different lokas. So Brahma continues, my dear son Narada, know from me that there are 7 lower planetary systems out of the total of 14. So there are 14 planetary systems. The 7 lower planetary systems, right? What are the 7 lower planetary systems? The first planetary system, known as Atala, is situated at the waist of Vibhu. Vibhu means the very large. The Lord is known as Vibhu, right? Ever expanding, ever large. So Atala Loka is the first one below Earth, and that is to be represented, to be understood as we can meditate the dhyana yogis. They will meditate Atala Loka as part of the waist of the universal form. And then the second planetary system below Atala is called Vitala. So Vitala is situated on the thighs of the Lord. So in this way, the third planetary system, Sutala, is on the knees of the Lord. And the fourth planetary system, Talatala, is on the shanks. Shanks means it's like the back of the calf, right? The calf of the Lord. So, and the fifth planetary system, Mahatala, is on the ankles. And sixth planetary system, Rasatala, you can see Rasatala, is at the upper part of the feet, upper portion of the feet. And finally, we have Patala. So, Padam, Patala, which is at the Padam, lower part of the feet. So Brahma is describing in this way, the lower planetary systems can be described as different parts of the lower body of the Lord. So this is one type of meditation which is done by the those who are impersonalists, who cannot accept the personal form of the Lord. So in this way, at least meditating upon the different universes, right? Even if they don't meditate upon the Lord, because they meditate upon the different universes, the different parts of the universe, right? Indirectly, they are meditating on a body part of the Lord, a portion of the Lord. So in this way, they are benefited. They get Sukruti. So the Lord is in this way benefiting the non-devotees. And then Brahma continues. Thus, the Virat form of Puman, Puman means the Lord, is full of all planetary systems. So Prabhupada says all these planetary systems are scattered over the complete universe, which occupies 2 by 2 billion times square miles. So that's the known universe. 2 billion in width, 2 billion in length, 2 billion miles in width, 2 billion miles in length. So this is the size of the universe. And it's full of planetary systems and different life forms. And the Lord is expanded into every part of this universe. So Prabhupada continues, the modern astronauts can travel only a few thousand miles away from the Earth. And therefore, their attempt to travel in the sky is something like child's play on the shore of an expansive ocean. So Prabhupada has this sarcastic humor, right? He calls them modern astronauts. So in other words, all our modern science and everything, all our advancement could only lead to this point where they can travel, just a few kilometers away from the surface of the earth. It's like, playing on the shores of the ocean. It's like child's play. So Prabhupada continues, there are innumerable universes beyond the one in which we are put. And all these material universes cover only an insignificant portion of the spiritual sky. Remember, it's all only in one corner of the spiritual sky where there's the Pradhan cloud. So that's where the Lord glanced upon it, and then differentiation took place, and all these universes are in just that one small corner. So can you imagine the spiritual world, how much larger it is? Then Brahma concludes this chapter 5. Then this is the last verse. He says, others may by imagination, kalpana, the word kalpana is used again. Others may by imagination divide the whole planetary system into three divisions. So in this way, they can break the planetary systems within the universe into three divisions. What are the three divisions? The divisions are also linked to the universal form of the Lord, right? Namely, Burloka, Bur. So the lower planetary systems from Earth downwards, it's called the Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. They are all called Bhuloka, sorry, Bhu, right? So Burloka is the lower planetary systems up to the Earth. So everything below is Burloka. And then so here we show you, this is the indication of it. And then from Earth onwards, so Earth onwards until Swarga, so from Earth until Swarga, so Swarga is not part of this, but Earth is part of this, right? It's called Bhuvarloka. That means above Earth, above Earth. Up to Earth is Bhur, above Earth is Bhuvarloka, right? So Earth is like the middle ground. It's like the middle ground, like the Tatashta. So Bhuvarloka, the middle planetary systems on the navel of the Lord. So this is represented by the navel, the waist area of the Virat Tattva. And the upper planetary systems, Swar. So Swar is Swarga Loka all the way to Satya Loka or Brahma Loka. The upper planetary systems Swar from the chest to the head of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, Lord Brahma is telling Narada, the planetary systems can be divided into these three and represented by the Virat Rupa, which is a mercy of the Lord. Right, so in this way, that is chapter 5, where Brahma describes all this creation, how creation took place, and then how the universes were created. So this is called primary creation. So primary creation is what the Lord created. Using his energies, not what Brahma created. So Brahma will create after this. So that we will hear later in chapter 6 onwards. A bit more on this primary creation. So this is called Sharga and Visharga. Sharga means primary creation, Visharga means secondary creation. Right? So we will hear more of that, the secondary creation of what Lord Brahma does. But before we talk about Lord Brahma, that will go later on. But the next chapter, chapter 6, will talk a bit more about the Virat Rupa. So the more detailed aspects of the various parts of the universe linked to the Virat Rupa in more detail. Here it is just broken the Virat Rupa into three parts only. But chapter 6 will go further into detail of that. All right, so we'll stop here. Let us digest everything by chanting Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh, for once we stopped on time, just 2 minutes past 9:30. So anyway, so thank you very much for your time, right? And any questions, anything you'd like to ask or clarify?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Sarbu, Hare Krishna.
Now we refer to this all the lokas
Mm,
from the Buloka above and Buloka below.
mm,
In Buloka, we have all the planets,
mm,
including the sun.
mm.
Now, the sun ray, is it only for the earth or for the whole universe?
Okay. So the sun is not in Bhuloka. So the sun is actually part of uh, it's above Bhuvar. So it is Swarga and above. So therefore, the sun is part of Swarga Loka. So the sun is meant for everything within Swarga Loka and below. But below Earth, there is no sun. I mean, the sun is there, but you can't see the sun below the Earth because below the Earth is subterranean. Everything is dark underground, right? And because it's dark, you can't see the sun. So those people who live in the Atala, Vitala, and all that, they have different types of light sources. Like in one of the planets, I think I can't remember which one. I think they have Nagas there, and the Nagas have jewels in their foreheads. So, and these jewels they emit light. So the entire kingdom, entire planet dimension there is lit by the jewels only. So you can imagine it's a bit darker probably, and like that in different. Then probably there's electricity, probably there's different things, but it's not the sun. So sun is only from earth until Swarga. So anything above Swarga, then there is no, there is, I mean, you can still see the sunlight from Swarga. So, but it's, as you go higher and higher, the planetary systems are self-effulgent. They have their own effulgence beyond the sun's power. So that's the understanding. Because the Lord himself, because he is there in Shweta Dweep is above Swarga, but it's below Maharloka. So there is a sun, an effulgence over there coming also. And then higher than that, in Tapaloka, Janaloka. So there the Lord is present directly in his deity form in Brahmaloka. So there is effulgence there also emanating from the Lord. So, but anyway, as your question, the sun is from Swargaloka up to earth. Does that answer, Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhu. Okay. Another question, Prabhu. Now, above Bhuloka is Bhuvaloka,
Mm,
where the ghosts and the Rasasis are staying.
mm,
Now, understand that above the seven lokas are partly more elevated than Earth.
mm.
Does it mean that Rakasis and ghosts are above our human being?
Yeah, they are more powerful than us. So there is a hierarchy given in somewhere in I think Bhagavatam. Somewhere it is described all the lower beings, like all the animals, first the fish, the plants, like that, and then comes to human beings. After human beings comes ghost. So in the sense that they are more powerful, so they are able to do things. So and their situation is a little higher than us in that sense, but it is still a punishment for ghosts in Antariksha. Antariksha is actually a twilight zone. It's not in, it's between Bhuva and Bhuvar. So the ghosts that live, they are between Bhuvar and Bhu. It's like what we call twilight zone. That is somewhere described as, the where the aeroplanes fly, the stratosphere. So when the aeroplanes are flying in the cruise above the clouds, so from there until a few kilometers up, that's called Antariksha. That's where the ghosts reside. Yeah. But beyond that, when Bhuvar Loka starts, Bhuvar Loka is where the Rakshasas are powerful. They are titans. They are like in Greek mythology, they are like the titans. So they are children of Diti, right? Aditi and Diti. So, and therefore, Rakshasas and these kind of demons, they are children of the heavenly beings. They have certain powers. And between the Bhuvar Loka, it's not only Rakshasas, they live there, even the subspecies of the Devas, subspecies like the Apsaras, the society girls, the Menaka, Ramba, Urvasi, this kind of people. And then there is the Gandharvas, those Gandharvas who are able to, expert singers and all that. And then the Yakshas. So they are also living in these areas, led by Kuvera. Kuvera is the king of the Yakshas. So he's living in the Bhuvar Loka area. And then finally comes Swarga. above. So Swarga is above.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, thanks,
Hmm.
thanks. But what are they doing in the earth? They have their own planet, huh?
Hmm.
What,
So
what is
this
the
this Bhuloka, so this Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, and this Atala, Vitala, Swarga, and all this, they are not planets, they are dimensions. So it's like a flat dimension. Within that dimension, there are many planets. So within Bhuloka, Earth is in one of the planets within Bhuloka. Within that is that's why I imagine them like plates. So one way to think of them is like how we put in these pictures, like plates. So each one is like a dimension. So within the dimension, Earth is one planet which is floating within this plate. So Swarga Loka, Amaravati, which is the capital city of Indra, is one of the planets which is floating within Swarga Loka. So like that, there are others like Surya, Chandra, other planets within Swarga Loka. So within Bhuvar Loka, there is the Gandharva Loka, Apsara Loka, Charana Loka, Kinara Loka, and then the Rakshasas are also living there, right? Yeah. So like and in between Bhuvar and Bhu, in between that's the Antariksha, twilight zone. So the twilight zone between is neither Bhu, neither Bhuvar, is in between, and that's where the ghosts live. So it is above, so therefore they have more powers, right? They can possess us, they can control us, they can do certain things if we are having a weak aura and all that, right? But beyond that, within the Bhuvar Loka and Swarga Loka, they are the controllers, Ishwaras. They have powers beyond us. Okay.
wow? Very, very critical position we are standing.
So we are right in the middle. We are even, it's said that even the Devas, they are envious of us sometimes because they know they are more powerful, they are more wonderful, they have all kinds of things, but they know that they are going to die. They know that when they die, they may drop all the way down to the lower planetary systems. They are not forever. And they know that only on Earth, there is the ability for us to take up devotional service, bhakti yoga. So only
Direct to
on
the
Earth,
Supreme, is it?
yes, only on Earth you can escape because everywhere else is like the upper planetary system is like the vacation spots. You can't stay there in the vacation spot. It's like you go for a holiday, you have to come back. And the lower planetary systems is like the, this is also vacation spots. They are also very beautiful places. And then there is the hell below Patala Loka. So, but only on Earth you have the ability to escape this anda, this egg, this universe. The only way to escape it, only two ways to escape. One is you can escape from Brahma Loka. That is the Krama Mukti, which we talked about in our first chapter. It's a very slow process. Or you can escape from Earth directly, very fast. You can, within this life, you can escape and go out of this cycle of birth and death. Okay, Prabhu? Any
Okay,
other
Prabhu.
questions?
Thank you very much. A bit
Any other
clear now.
questions? Yeah. Any other questions? Right. If there's no other questions, thank you so much for your patience and your time and for joining me. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, kripasindhubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. I'll see you all again next time.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much,
Prabhu. Hare
Prabhu.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.